This is day number 2 at NAMM. Started with a bang, meeting Bob Clearmountain. Now 2020 starts with Bob Clearmountain, a legend. I love you. He agreed to let me interview him, so later on we're gonna meet up. This is incredible. Bob Clearmountain, man. Let's start day number 2. Such a beautiful day. Yes, I want to try and spend some time there today. There you go. So I'm at the Arturia booth and I'm about to demonstrate the MatrixBrute. Check this out. I'm gonna probably speak as well. I don't know. We're gonna make some music here. Hello, hi. Hi. My name is Claudio. I'm known as Dr. Mix. I love synthesizers and I've been playing them for way too long. Today I'm going to demonstrate the Arturia MatrixBrute. I will begin by saying this. I'm a simple man. I like good sounding oscillators. This guy has 3 oscillators. I am gonna just put it at its simple possible settings and I'm gonna let you listen to the oscillator. Now I am at the UVI booth. Check out. And I'm going to do a song. And it's gonna be good. I like this sound a lot. was fun. However, now it's time for me to interview Bob Clearmountain. I'm shaking in my boots. What should I begin asking? Anyway, let's go. It's a different building. NAMM is humongous. There is no way anyone can see all of it in the 4 or 5 days at this point. No way. It's too big. Incredible. Escalator. I'm here with the legendary Bob Clearmountain. I can hardly believe it. I'm gonna ask him a couple of questions right now. For the one person who may not know who Bob Clearmountain is, he's a legendary producer, sound engineer, not only responsible for the way Power Station is, and for recording from Bryan Adams to The Boss, Bruce Springsteen, David Bowie. His CV is as long as this hall. The thing that really gets me is about the Chic and your influence on disco.
All right.
Right?
Early disco, yeah.
Early disco. Without getting into the philosophical stuff, I would like to know really, how did you record disco? From, drum perspective, I would start with that. Would you use typically a dead room? Would you use towels on the snare drum? What kind of microphones? What was the state of mind in order to achieve that famous disco sound?
Oh, interesting. Well, Chic was actually our first client, our first project at Power Station. In fact, it was so early on, the studio wasn't finished yet, and we started it downtown at Electric Lady. Wow. And we finished it up at Power Station, the first album. And at Power Station we had, for like the later albums, like the Le Freak album, and then Sister Sledge, We Are Family, and those records.
You recorded that as well?
Yeah. In fact, we recorded two albums in 4 nights. It was the Le Freak album and the We Are Family album. All the basic tracks were recorded in 4 nights.
So
both
when you
those
say
records.
When you say nights, it's because so that rumor is true that you would record at night when the studio was closed from the day sessions. Is that the rumor?
Well, the Power Station had a policy. They had to have 2 sessions in every room every day, because that's just, they didn't allow for block booking, so you couldn't book out a room for yourself. That way they kept a lot of clients. That wasn't my decision. In fact, that's one reason I started working in other places, because we wanted to lock out the room. Those sessions were just starting at 7 at night to 1 or 2 in the morning. They weren't long sessions. And they recorded 2 entire albums, all the basic tracks.
Everyone together?
Yeah, with a full band. Sure, drums was Niall, Bernard, and Tony, the 3 main guys, drums, guitar, bass. And then they had a keyboard player, 2 keyboard players, a guy playing Fender Rhodes and another guy playing piano, and then a percussionist. So all together, and no click track or anything.
Oh.
So Tony always, it was just Tony's really, really incredible time. And the drums were all the studio drums that I had bought. There were a set of Ludwigs. I would tune them myself. In fact, I would take the drum key away from the drummer, because I would always, in between takes on playbacks, I would run out and I would touch up the tuning on the drums.
Did you use any notes for the toms, or you were
just by ear? Yeah, I mean, I'm not even a drummer, but I would spend hours and hours on my own with the drums, trying different tunings, and I taught myself how to tune them.
So the toms were double skin, or they were open?
They were double skin. Yeah, usually have a clear ambassadors on top and bottom. Yeah, and the snare was just an ambassador head.
Ambassador head?
Yeah.
What was metal or wood?
I'm trying to think. That was a metal shell. Later on, I bought a Black Beauty for myself, and like all the Bryan Adams records and a lot of other ones, I always use that snare drum. And I'm not the same drum, but I have one just like it now.
By the way, Bryan Adams is our 1 degree of separation, because I was a pop session player in Italy for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And once he came and his keyboard player was ill, so I substituted him for the Italian leg of his tour.
Oh,
so
really?
I played
Great.
I played like gigs with Bryan Adams,
good.
and I was
Excellent.
at lunch with him.
He's a good guy, right? I mean,
What a nice
really nice
guy.
Very incredible person, actually, I think.
And we know how hard it is to find like these superstars who are also like nice, humble, down to earth. He was like super cool. He didn't have to pay for lunch,
Yeah.
but he just, he paid for everyone. Just left up like
that's how he is.
500 euros bill, which I had never seen before, just on the table and just left.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's all right. He's a good friend. Yeah, so anyway, so the Chic, that was all that. Same with the Let's Dance record for David Bowie's, our drums, Niall producing, and I would just tune the drums. That was the frustrating thing about the Let's Dance album, was that a lot of the songs were first takes before I got a chance to go out and tweak the drums. And so I was like, oh my God, I didn't really get the drum sounds that I wanted, and I had to do a lot of processing later to get it to sound like something.
How would you stop that snare drum? Because the snare drum in that area was pretty much, it was kind of
thick.
And dry. How did you achieve that?
Well, I would tune it down a bit, not too loose, but then it was a lot with the tightness of the snares, the actual spring snares on the bottom. You get it so that they would actually resonate with the drum, and you get that kind of that sound that you're talking about.
And did you also would you also stop with like some tea towel or
I
anything
usually
like
put
that?
some tape, maybe some gaffer tape on the top
tape.
with some like a tissue, just to tune it down, just to get it so it didn't ring too much. For the R&B stuff, for the rock stuff, I'd like it really open and nothing on there. But for the Chic stuff and the Sister Sledge, you just don't want it to ring too much. You just want that real tight, thick sound,
And how about the room? What room did you record the drums in?
Well, that was in the rhythm room, which is the room in Studio A at Power Station, the room over to the right.
Yeah.
There were 3 rooms. There was the rhythm room, there was a keyboard room, which is a bit liver on the left, and then there was the main room with the dome, which is real live, which we used for the rock stuff. That was basically designed for rock drums, that big room.
I recorded my first Sunlight Square album at Power Station, and of course we were always talking about you, obviously. And I was so lucky I had Steve Gadd and Will Lee.
Oh my God! Yeah, well, definitely the A-list there.
And I remember that I could only record with Will Lee in the morning because in the afternoon he was doing the Dave Letterman.
Yeah, right, sure.
And
that's right, back in those days.
So that was super cool. And that room sounds quite dead. The room on
the rhythm room is very dead.
Because I remember it's mostly wood, so maybe there were also panels and stuff.
Yeah, well, they had what they call it's a Helmholtz resonator theory about the way Tony Bon Jovi designed it, where you'd have this layer of insulation in the back and then wood pine kind of boards over it with slots in between them. And so and he kind of tuned it. Tony was a pretty smart guy when it came to acoustics, and he tuned the room to be like a dead sort of an R&B room. And then the liver, it just all depends on how wide the slots, the spaces between the boards are, and then how deep the insulation was. So it was all different for the different rooms. So the main room, we use that room for like the Springsteen records and the Bryan Adams and Bowie and stuff like that.
I want to ask you the question about the reverb on the snare. I promise I will not, because we know it. And one micro thing, bass straight to desk?
Yeah, the bass was direct. Yeah, Bernard's bass was a Music Man, so it had an active pickup. But yeah, that was just straight in through just a direct box. I don't even remember what direct box it was, but I'd usually run it through a Neve compressor, and that was about it. It was the only processing really, and I probably did a little something, some EQ to it on the mix. I don't remember. Right. But he had just a great sound. Just the way he played was incredible. He was pretty brilliant.
And
there's a great story about. Remember the song "Good Times"?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, they're recording that, right? So the band's out there recording this song, and I'm a bass player, and so I'm hearing this bass line. I'm thinking, what the hell? Where did that come from? And so they come in for the playback, and we're playing it back. And I remember Bernard standing there, and I'm sitting at the desk, and I just turned to him and I go, how did you come up with that? Where did that bass line come from? And he looks at me and he goes, oh, you like that? I said, like that? Like he didn't know. You know what I mean? He was, oh, really? You think that's good? Are you kidding? It's like monumental.
So you're commenting his bass line played a part in him actually putting it on the record then.
Yeah, he played it live with a thing. It was just, to him it was kind of just, it seemed obvious, right? Just like,
This is the closest thing to playing God
yeah, right.
that I've ever heard.
I know, and I was just looking at it like, dude, you're just like, just totally blown my mind, you know, with this thing. And no vocals yet, it's just basic tracks. And so it's kind of, it was one of those things where, well, this is a hit record for sure. This has to be a hit record. And then there was no melody or anything. It was just a rhythm track.
And at the time they weren't so famous, or were they?
No,
maybe
not
locally?
really.
No, not really.
Well, they were they had a hit. The first album, they had that Dance, 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 which is a bit of a hit, you know? Yeah. So this is the next album. And sure enough, I mean, that was a big monster hit.
Maybe just one last thought about dance music.
Yeah.
How is it different when you approach a dance music mix or production, for that matter, to like a regular pop sound?
Well, obviously, it's the beat is the main thing. The rhythm, the drums, you know, getting that bass drum real pronounced, I think. And the whole bottom end of the record's a little bit different. It's not that much different, but it's more about the bottom end and the rhythm, I think, than the melodic parts. But it's all important. I mean, all pop music and R&B and dance music, it's all, you know, the melody is very important. But I think the dance music, obviously, it's the rhythmic part of it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. You're asking me? What would I know? I'm a white kid from Greenwich, Connecticut. And I grew up on British rock, so.
Right.
But because I started at a studio called Media Sound, and we recorded jingles during the day, but at night we did R&B records. It was all R&B records. I used to hang around on the Stevie Wonder sessions when he was doing.
You've been around Stevie Wonder sessions.
Yeah, and he was doing the Intervisions at the time, and I was just an assistant. I was real new. I just started, but I was such a Stevie Wonder fan, and I talked the producers into letting me hang out. I would get coffee, you know, and do stuff like that, and help them clean up and set up the drums and stuff, you know.
Did you eventually work with Stevie Wonder?
I did. I got to mix one thing. It was something he was producing. It wasn't one of his records, but I actually did a little mix for him just one time. Unfortunately, I wish I could have worked for him more, but I don't know what happened.
Listen, I know that you're moved by music, and people like you make me feel hopeful that we can have great future in music. And
I hope so. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And
look at all the people here. This
is
all about
this
music.
Is incredible.
There's thousands and thousands of people here.
This is incredible.
It's wonderful. I think it's about music, and it's just people. Look, there's a guy with a guitar in his back. You know, it's all musicians, and I love it.
I will treasure this occasion to speak with you dearly in my heart.
Yeah,
thank you
great.
so much.
Well, my pleasure. All right. Yeah, that's good.
So I guess this definitely ends day 2. It's a great ending for day number 2 at the NAMM Show. It's a great ending for any day, actually. And so much light, so much love, so much music. It's your boy, Dr. Mix.